Hi guys, my name is Priyanka and I am a counselor with Better Life. And for today's session, I would be here to help you unload any of the mental burden that you might be going through due to the pandemic and its most significant consequence, which is the lockdown. For today, I intend to talk about four specific concerns in today's life. The first being overcoming lockdown fatigue, second, dealing with uncertainty and also procrastination in the lockdown. The fourth would be about balancing your sense of productivity and what we believe is self care and how it is important for you. So let's come to the first point and talk about something that's become very popular in today's time that's called lockdown fatigue. Now, ask yourself, am I feeling more tired than usual? Do I feel like I'm any less motivated? Is my sleep pattern disturbed? If your answer to any of this or all of this is yes, then what I believe is that you might be experiencing something that we call as lockdown fatigue. Now, let's figure out why experiencing this fatigue has become so common, although you're in an environment that you're at home and you're able to take care of things from the comfort of your home and at the space and time that you're comfortable with. Now, initially, like we know, the lockdown seemed like a much needed vacation. It was a break from that monotony of that routine till we found ourselves doing multiple things at the same time. Now, you're either a responsible parent, a partner, a daughter, son, and a professional all at the same time. And there's not really a segregation of the time or the physical space, unlike when you're working in an office setup, where certain number of hours are for your office work, and then you come back home and you're dissociating them from your personal responsibilities. Now, life has become where you're working in a co working home space where multiple people are working together. You have mental stresses that you're dealing with together. And you're also worrying about everything that's going on in your life all at once. Now, all that we used to do in terms of unwinding have come into the same domain of being at home. So there are very lesser distinctions between where your routine actually falls into the professional realm and the personal realm. That is why one of the major problems that we're dealing with right now is this sense of fatigue. The monotony of the routine has been causing us so much tiredness that it seems like, all of it is so cramped up together rather than luxuriously spaced out where you just relax and unwind being at home. Now, the way in which our lives have transformed in such a short span of time has impacted our daily routines. Like individuals no longer have that segregation that this is work, this is home, people are now not sleeping on time, you're eating random things. There's no sense of routine that's really fallen into place. Sleep routines have gone out of whack. And most importantly, something that has happened is that we're no longer sleeping on time and waking up on time, which means that we're feeling very groggy and lethargic through the day. Now, another reason why this is also happening is because of the reduced exposure to our natural daylight. Now, the government guidelines don't really allow us to step out and have that sort of public interaction, or probably stepping out just to have some amount of sunlight or the daylight that we used to experience when we were traveling to work. What's happening instead is just that you're spending long hours in front of the computer, and something that suddenly gained popularity is the concept of Zoom fatigue. Now, Zoom fatigue is nothing more than the fact that you're being overly tired by being in front of a Zoom call or being in front of a meeting all day long, where the video calls make us feel excessively tired through the day. Now, in times like these, it becomes very important for us to keep a calm mind and create an effective balance between our work and home. Now, to ease the burden of this situation and the problems, there are so many things that, keep cropping up in our mind, saying that, there is so much ambiguity, there is so much uncertainty. How can I really, identify when am I actually going to fall back into that routine, or when are things going to get regularized for me? If you think about it, there are no right sources that, people are exposed to so many other sources that identifying those right sources of the correct amount of information has become extremely important. So always reach out to just government updates of things that are there. Limit your time in front of the computer as much as possible. Learn how to, dissociate yourself from the current situation and try to take a break. Now, if I really were to ask you if you're experiencing fatigue, what are the real things that you can do in this situation to avoid yourself drifting away into that monologue of the situation, where one after the other things seem like, you start feeling very low and unmotivated about it? To bring about that sense of law and order in our life, it becomes very, very important for us to create a clear structure for our day. Something that I mentioned even previously, that having structure and being able to maintain that little sense of routine becomes very important for us. Say, for example, I wake up on time. I make sure I'm brushing, showering, getting my things in order for the day. Creating a structure and a plan in terms of saying that, all right, now that I've showered, now that I've brushed, now that I've had my breakfast, it's time for me to get onto my work. Now, your workspace needs to be something that's absolutely clutter free. Clutter free so that you don't get distracted, there are no distractions around, and there are no people disturbing you from your space of work when you're actually sitting down and doing your work. To do that, communicating with the people around you becomes extremely important so that you can tell them that, all right, look, I have work from this time to this time. Please try not to disturb me. And if there is anything else, I will do that after my work time when I'm taking a break. So, scheduling your tasks and bringing a sense of routine helps you organize your day in a manner that is more structured and makes you feel productive as well. Now, productivity, as we know, is a very ambiguous topic. For me, productivity may be, just accomplishing certain chores in the day. For some people, it may be accomplishing things off their to-do list. For some, it may just be taking a break because you know what, you'll be overworking yourself so much that it's extremely essential to take a break. Now, this sense of productivity also brings about the question of uncertainty. कि ठीक है, now if I am doing something, what about what comes next? This brings us to the point that to control this sense of uncertainty, to understand, that gray area of how I am being right now and how things will be ahead, it is very important to focus on things that are in your control. Now, what are these things that are in my control? If you go to think about it, controlling my behavior can help me be safe. Controlling my behavior helps me control my actions. That means I'm staying at home, I'm not stepping out, and I'm not only safeguarding myself, I'm safeguarding people around me as well. Now, when I'm being able to control my thoughts and my action in turn, so now my behavior is controlled, my actions controlled, my thoughts also get channelized in a much positive direction. Now, I cannot control the government policies. I cannot control what other people are doing. So automatically, my sense of control gets limited within myself. And now my focus and my effort of controlling something goes back into how I can take care of a particular situation through my actions. Now, say for example, we just mentioned that when I am controlling my behavior, I am not stepping out, my actions are in relation to that. Automatically, my thoughts fall into sync as well. Now, when I am taking care of myself, I am not thinking about the negatives of the situation, but instead, what I am focusing on would definitely be the areas of life where I am able to take control and have a certain sense of assertiveness on that situation, that I'm taking care of myself, I am in charge of me, and I can be safe within this protected environment. Automatically, your sense of thought changes, the negativity reduces, and now you're paying attention to the positives of that situation. Positives in terms of, okay, these are the tasks that I can do, and these are the tasks that I can leave for later. So basically, what I'm bringing into light over here is the fact that we are just very simply keeping a track of our activities. Now, these activities can be in terms of just record your things, very small things. How much did I walk today? How much work did I put in? How much burtan did I wash? How much time did it take me to do the jharu pocha around the house or the dusting around the house or little things in general as well. A lot of times, people who run dual roles, taking care of the house and their work as well, tend to blur the lines between their amount of work that they're actually putting in their day-to-day life. Now, what becomes important is that you acknowledge every little bit of that work that you're putting in so that there's no uncertainty in terms of at least your productivity. Well, as long as uncertainty will remain about different things in terms of when will the lockdown end and how will life be beyond the lockdown, these are certain aspects where you can gain control on your life by tracking your activities, recording the little things that you do, and bringing into perspective all the important aspects of your life. Now, one thing that I believe is extremely important is don't let other people define for you what productivity means to you. For different people, productivity means different things. For you, while accomplishing a new hobby might be productive. For someone else, just being able to effectively manage their home and their work and their kids and communicating is a task in itself. And just making sure that these things are sorted together to have that sense of control in your life counts as productivity. And the minute you start keeping track of these things in your life, it will feel like you're doing something over doing nothing. We as humans have a natural tendency to wade off towards the entire feeling of, you know what, I'm not doing anything much with my life. So it thus becomes very important to track on these little activities and these minimal things that we do in our day to day lives so that you feel like you did something over knowing that you did nothing. Now, but doing something, I think one of the major challenges that we all face is something that is the biggest evil. And as you all know it, it's procrastination. Well, nothing is as fatiguing as entering the eternal hanging, of just being there and knowing that you have to get something done, but not being able to do it. And now, with this lockdown coming over, procrastination has become something that is so common that it's almost become a part of our day to day life, and we're procrastinating much more than ever. After all, it's not your fault. We are all confined in the limits of these four walls, where in our homes, we are holding meetings, we're doing our assignments, we're unwinding, and we're also trying to, bring about that sense of balance. So it becomes very difficult for us to actually say that, you know what, I have this task and I need to get it done. It's always just easier to, okay, I know I have to do it and I will get to it. But that will get to it, unfortunately, turns into this sense of procrastinating for longer and longer and longer till it becomes this sense of apathy and almost as if you start wondering what's even the point of it. This is the most difficult hindrance, if you ask me. Because while we are trying to actually bring about that sense of productivity and create a balance, trying to get ourselves to that space is what is most difficult, especially at these times. So there are a couple of things that we can try doing, like probably breaking up that task into smaller tasks. Now we all know that our ultimate goal is to achieve that task and get it done. Say, for example, I have to prepare a presentation for a meeting and I have to get it done in the next 2 days. The feeling always we come across is to say that, you know what, I have 2 days, so let me take my time, ho jayega, kar lenge. But then at the end of it, it feels like so much of work pressure and so much to deal with that we feel extremely overwhelmed with the situation. What you can do instead is break up that task into little bits and give yourself adequate amount of breaks in the middle of it. So when you have to make a presentation, do a couple of slides, take a break, review it, see how it feels to you, do a couple of more slides so that in every day before you reach your target deadline, you've accomplished smaller steps or smaller bits of your work, finally accomplishing your goal. Now, one of the things with actually getting to work is the environment that you're working in. Like we've been saying that, when you're working at home, there are so many distractions in terms of the people around you. Your phone is always present around you. You're not really in that professional space of mind or that area where you can actually concentrate. So distracting can be as easy as this. Now, creating an environment that's conducive to your work is extremely important. Now, how do you do that, you may ask? Now, all of us have one very simple issue that we all deal with. While we are working, one notification that pings on your phone, it's an immediate urge to pick up your phone and look at it and see what's going on in there. And that one notification turns into a WhatsApp conversation, it turns into Instagram or Facebook scrolling, and then just like that, half an hour, 45 minutes of your life have just disappeared. Now, one thing leads to another, and our phones turn out to be one major source of distraction. Now, do you know that actually you can perform 20% worse if your phone is around because of this very simple reason that you get distracted so easily? So it is important that we need to be productive, and how we are being productive, again, like I said, is very subjective. But creating these minor diversions for your own self are extremely essential. It's very simple. I know I have to do a slide for the next 30 minutes. I will be done with 2, 3 of my slides in the next 30 minutes. I keep my phone in the other room. I tell people, look, I need 30 minutes of undistracted time. So let me focus on my work for that period of time. And then I will come back and, well, that's your well-deserved break, right? You get a break to use your phone. You get a break to communicate. And also you have got a certain amount, your task done and your chore is completed. Similarly, I think, if you are able to create these sense of diversions and distractions and break them down into little parts, the entirety of the work or the entirety of the pressure on you doesn't feel as large as well. So this becomes a very useful way to deal with the procrastination that we're all dealing with. Now, another thing is actually getting started. The biggest problem with procrastination in our life is to actually take that first step. And honestly, once you've taken the first step, we all know we're all driven to get the task done with. So often, just starting is the hardest part. If you can persuade yourself for just a couple of minutes, say, Acha, let me just start it. Let me make a rough sketch of the idea or the plan that I need to do, and then I will take a break. Just that much is enough for you to get started with your work, if you ask me, because that's all that's needed to get your mind to focus and channelize all your energies in the right direction. Now, with everything that's going on, like the fatigue that I mentioned, the uncertainty that I mentioned, and of course the procrastination that also comes up as such a major element of our life, what becomes important for us to take care of ourselves? In the hustle bustle of everything, it has become so secondary to actually take care of ourselves, because ghar pe hai to kya hi hoga. We're at home, we're not really stepping out. There's no chance of anything other than, of course, the COVID-19 affecting us if we step out. We've taken everything else on a back step, but our mental health is not doing so well at this point in time. That's where self-care steps in. Now, self-care is not just about relaxing and unwinding, but also keeping a balance with the accountability of what the things that you need to do and fulfilling your personal and professional goals as well. Because think about it, if I'm just taking a break and relaxing, then I am not really going to be very much at peace with, say, my professional goals. What happens when I'm not able to concentrate on my work? I'm feeling that sense of negativity. I'm feeling like I'm not doing good enough. And it just brings about that sense of apathy. So what becomes very important is that we bring about sense of self-care. We bring about a sense of organization to our day, and basically just about taking care of ourselves. And to take care of ourselves is extremely simple, if you ask me. Work with your entire passion, but then when you're done with your day, put your laptop aside, keep your work phone away, log out of social media, and just learn how to enjoy the present. Meditation is something that works for a lot of people, but it's also something that doesn't work for a lot of people. Now, the thing about meditation is that it takes an amount of focus and concentration. Instead, I believe in a much easier practice, like we call it mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is nothing but being in sync with your present environment and making yourself aware of your surroundings. A lot of us spend time watching shows or using your phone when you're eating your meals. Try pushing that aside and probably concentrating on the meal that you have. Somebody in your house has prepared that for you with a lot of love, with a lot of dedication and a lot of effort, while most probably balancing out other chores in their day as well. If you can actually spend time to enjoy that food, enjoy the textures, enjoy the flavor, enjoy the fragrance of it, is as simple as what mindfulness is. And at the end of it, if you drop them a compliment for the food that they made for you or the love that they put in to cook for you and care for you, it creates a much healthier and happier environment for people around you as well. Listen to calming music. There is nothing like listening to calming music, especially in these strenuous times. Why, you ask me? Because music has the power and the ability of having an undefined language that reaches out to everyone. Everyone has that little bit of connection with music that invokes positive memories, that helps them calm down, and also creates an environment that's very soothing. Try lighting candles, use dimmer lights before you go off to sleep. This is the best time when you can pick up a few books to read, create an online library for yourself. Plan out things, create goals, accomplish small tasks, and for everything that you do, create a memory box. This one is my personal favorite because I believe creating those little moments of your life and holding on to them go on for a very long time in your life. There are a lot of times during this lockdown that we're feeling very extremely bummed out. It is so difficult to motivate us ourselves to pick us up and get to work or get to doing things another day. There is financial crunch, there is tension of the things that are coming across. There is so much dilemma and deliberation about the economy, about health, about livelihood, about stepping out, etc., etc., that we stop focusing on the positives that are actually there around us. This is honestly the best time that we can have to stop and smell the flowers. Invest your time in a hobby, read a book, listen to music, listen to music, spend time with your loved ones, because that is what is so important for us, to keep your near and dear ones close to you. Right now, although there is no physical proximity, we have the ability to connect with people via video calls. Drop in a text, ask them if they're available, because it's essential to remember that people are working as well. So just check in with them if they have the time to speak to you, make a phone call, and just catch up on those good memories. Write it down on a piece of paper and leave it in a corner somewhere, leave it in a box, so that on the day that you're not feeling so up to it, you pick up one of those chits and you can reflect back to those memories. And then what you have is a beautiful memory box of positive memories that takes you out of that gloomy day and makes you look forward to something else. Maybe you can call that friend again. Maybe you can try doing that hobby again. Maybe you can bring across that tiny, tiny bit of distraction that would just make you feel better in your day. So, self care is not selfishness. That is something that I would really like to highlight, because it is extremely important for you to bring to perspective that it is extremely important to take care of yourself as much as it is important to take care of other people. At this point in time, let me ask you about any questions that you would like to have. Anything that you have, please post them as your comments and I shall address them, so that we can speak about different issues, things that you are dealing with personally, and I, as a psychologist, can help you with them. Any questions that you have in mind, because it's not just about how you are dealing with your emotional and mental well-being, but it is about those of others as well. A lot of times being stuck at home, probably with your loved ones, might not be the most comfortable environment. A lot of people are stuck without the comfort of their loved ones. They're stuck with roommates, they're stuck with teammates, and sometimes communication can be an issue. The entire monotony of the situation can be an issue. So there is no problem that is big or small, but all of them are equally important. And that is why I would like to reach out to you and address any of the questions that you have, anything that you would need, so that we can reach out and help you out in any way that is possible. I think, in this lockdown situation, we have overcome and come across so many novel situations. And that is why expressing them and understanding them is equally important. Well, right here, I see Sanita Bhosle has sent me a question and says that not many of us have the luxury of a big space. South multiple rooms or space. What would you suggest that you get some time for ourselves? That is a very valid question, Sunita, because not all of us get that entire luxury of having an undistracted zone. So the least that you can do at this point in time, if you're comfortable, one of the ways that work is, plug in headphones, turn on some calm, relaxing music that would help you from getting distracted from the other sounds around you. If there is an important meeting to address, if there is something important where you need your entire concentration, ask the people around you to give you that sense of space. I'm sure they can spare you a bedroom for some amount of time where you can keep yourself close, inform them, and communicate. Communicating, I believe, is the most important in this space, because as long as you're able to express to people your needs, and not in a way that I want you to do that or I want you to do this, please get away from here, because it's extremely easy for us to get agitated in a situation, right? There is already the pressure of work, there's a smaller space, there is things to do, and there is noise. So it's much easier for us to get irritated and say, you know what, just get away from here. Instead, if you can give them a heads up about the situation, saying, hey, I would really appreciate if you could give me half an hour or 45 minutes or so and so time so that I can finish my meeting, or I really need to address this task. Could I have some time to myself without any distraction? I'm sure your people around you would understand as well. And this works in terms with children as well. We know that there are a lot of parents working from home as well, and a lot of times kids can be a form of distraction. What you can do in a situation like this is reach out to your children and give them a task to keep them distracted for the meanwhile. Or give them the importance of telling them that, hey, look, I have something to do that is extremely important. I would really like if you could give me 1 hour, and after 1 hour, let me come back to you and we will spend some time together. Now, as a parent, it becomes your responsibility to keep up your time commitment. And if your job or your chore is going on for more than an hour, check in with your child, take a break for 5 minutes, spend some time with them, and tell them that I will be back. This teaches them a sense of codependence or working together with you while giving you that space that you need when you're in a more confined space or have a lot of distractions in that situation as well. I hope I have answered your question, Sunita. If there's anything else that you would like for me to address, I'm here and welcoming more questions. So, like I was telling Sunita at this point in time, one thing that I believe in is very important is communication. So, something that she did bring to my notice was the fact that, it is so easy for us to be agitated in a situation like this. It is so easy that we get angry and we snap at a person and we just expect the other person to understand that, hey, you should understand how much work I am having. There is so much pressure on me. So, I have to kind of, you should understand that I'm dealing with it. The same thing while we are doing our work, if you're able to understand that we are not the only ones who are in a lockdown or in confinement, even for our partners, for our friends, for our family, we're all confined to that limited space of the limited number of things that we can actually do. It would really be a factor in creating a sense of agitation and anger. So it is very important if you try communicating and being very clear on your expectations. And this is something that I have noticed goes really well, even in terms of relationships in the long run. Often we expect people and assume that they should understand, but we should always believe that people around us need to know things directly, like from the horse's mouth. So the more honest you get, the more clear you are with your viewpoints, the more easier it is for you to actually communicate and create healthier relationships. Amit, the way here is asking me, listening to audiobooks while working, is it a good thing or is it distracting? Well, it's a very subjective approach if you ask me, but I think audiobooks work as a sense of distraction because think about it, your mind can only concentrate on one thing at a time, because you cannot really distract yourself into listening to something that's going on while also thinking about what you need to be putting into your presentation or into the meeting or while you're working on something of the sort. Because what happens is then there may be a crossover of ideas, there may be an overlap of things where you're unable to focus on one thing after the other. Usually recommended is listening to calming music or music that works for you in any way. But audiobooks are a great alternative if you're trying to go off to sleep, by the way. If you're trying to get yourself to relax, unwind in the day, and get to sleep, that time audiobooks work a great deal in helping you calm down, listen to something while passively helping you drift off for the evening. Amit, I hope I have answered your question. If there is anything else you would like to ask me, please go ahead. Audiobooks, self-help books, all of these I believe are extremely essential, just as pick-me-ups. But it's also important that we use these as guidelines for our life rather than relying our entire principles on them. As a psychologist, I have seen a lot of people refer to self-help books, and personally, I've read a couple of them myself. But self-help books are very important to remember. They're like reference books. They're books that give you a viewpoint, a different perspective to things. Never use self-help books as the ultimate guide to your life, because they are also written in a very generalized statement, almost like zodiac signs, where you're saying that this cannot particularly be me because you need to modify and adapt in terms of how they work for you in a very specific environment, especially in a situation of a lockdown where things are so ambiguous. It's very easy to latch on or depend on to things that bring us some source of motivation. Self-help books are great. Audiobooks are even better. Listening to things that bring about motivation is really, really amazing. But now, just coming around to just depending on them becomes an unhealthy form of dependence. But at the same time, if you can adapt from them, adopt from it, and then incorporate in your life, would be great. Now, Chetrali asked me how to tactfully get your partner to do household chores when they keep procrastinating and the situation grows out of control later. Oh, Chetrali, that is such an amazing question, and honestly, something that a lot of us deal with. Especially when we're doing household chores coupled with professional work, it becomes very difficult for us to actually get there. You can use smaller tricks. Something that we usually say is that I'm pretty sure you couldn't get that task done today. Sometimes when you put it across as a challenge like that, it tends to motivate the partners to say that, hey, why does she think that I can't really do that? So that could be one way. Asking them to share the load, saying, all right, come with me. Let us both do it together. So in case it's the case of vessels where one needs to wash and the other needs to wipe and pick them up, you can always be an equal partner in the job so that they feel encouraged and motivated to do the task with you. When cooking, you can tell them, okay, you cut the vegetables, I'll cook, or switch roles up once in a while. Ask them what they are feeling like so that they can be an active partner in the things that you're doing. And sometimes just smaller tips and tricks in terms of asking them, all right, so what do you think you would like to do today? Are you really in the mood for this? Things like these make your partners feel like you're giving them equal importance and not just, dumping them with extra tasks ki ye karna hai aur wo karna hai. Instead, when you bring about a sense of balance in saying that, okay, look, let's work together. Let us kind of bring about a sense of balance where both of us are working. It doesn't feel like only one of the partners is doing all the job. Again, throwing it across as a challenge, like I mentioned, that I'm sure you can't get this done today. But remember not to use that every day, because then it might become an ego tussle, which might not be taken on so well. This task usually works very well with children, because when you tell children that, you know what, I think it is, I am pretty sure you can't clean your room today, they become more enthusiastic and active about doing that thing. But this is something that also works with adults, because who doesn't love a challenge, right? So trying to bring that up and about works. Again, like I mentioned, that if it's about procrastinating, then breaking your task into smaller goals, just about creating that sense of beginning. Let me just begin. Acha, theek hai, you start with a couple of the vessels and I'll do the rest. Usually you will see that they continue doing the rest of them while you are doing another chore with them simultaneously. Because nobody wants you to really pick up and put everything on you. So they would be compassionate enough to help you out, and that would be great. Um, I believe we have another question that is here, and I'll be wrapping up the session soon enough. So if that works for you, let me take up Sunita's question, who says, how do we help children who very often are bored in very short span of time, have tried multiple things, but this persists? Well, can we blame the children after all? We as adults are bored. We as adults are dealing with so much of a difficulty trying to actually concentrate on things around us. Now, it becomes very important for us to bring about creativity in the task that they are doing. Now, if you give them a paper and crayon and tell them, why don't you draw something, they're going to get bored of it soon enough. So, bringing creativity in those tasks becomes very important. Teaching them, this is the best time that you can get to teach them to work with you in terms of, okay, let's say household chores. If you are doing the vessels, help the kids put them across or put them away. When get them involved in activities so that they feel a sense of responsibility. If they feel responsible for something, usually kids tend to be more interested or interactive in the chores that they are doing. Say, for example, you tell them water the plants. Now they feel like they are responsible for the life, growth, and development of those plants. If you don't have plants, tell them, okay, I would like you to set up the table. Setting up a routine for them usually helps. Where I know in times like these, it's not really possible where you can say, you can only have 2 hours of TV time. But distracting them or bringing about some amount of interaction, play board games with them so that they're not just left by themselves, but also there is a family bonding time that comes up. Storytelling is another thing that works really great at these times, where you can inculcate different values, different principles, and different policies into their life through the form of stories. I know it might sound like, oh my God, it's another task for me. Now I need to, spend time. But these are creative ideas that work on for, not just you inculcating the kind of development that you would like in your child, but at the same time, building healthier communication between the two of you, creating a new task for them every day, and also bringing about a sense of unity in the family. So, just to sum it up, bringing about structure in their day where they have certain tasks that they can do, bringing about creativity. So, there are a lot of DIY kind of videos, which are do it yourself videos that you can find online. Put them to task for whatever they can do out of it, acknowledge, appreciate their creativity, reward them for it. If they really are in the mood for cooking something or making something with you, now you can make a healthier alternative or a healthier version of a pizza or a burger right in the house. Help them get them involved to help you with the toppings so that there is something new. Now you won't be cooking every day, you won't be drawing every day, there is not going to be stories every day, but there is a change in the routine, so there is something new that they have to look forward to. The best thing that you can do at this point in time, not just for children but also for adults, something that I would really think is great, is bringing a sense of spontaneity. Since there is so much planning, structure, organization that we're trying to bring into the picture, the minute we're trying to bring in some amount of something new, we're stuck at home, we're not doing anything much. One day, just light up a few candles, create a nice dinner, and create an environment that makes a healthy family dinner or a couple's dinner. Have spent time with your children in a way that you're playing board games with them. Because this is not a time you will get again, but then it becomes also very important for you to create that sense of holisticness, a holistic wellness, well being, emotional peace, and also a sense of longevity in creating a space that is comfortable, conducive, and also helps you look forward to something new in the upcoming days. With that, if there is any other questions, I would like to address that, or it would be the end of our session for today. I hope my session today has helped you. Any questions that you have, anytime that you would like to reach out to our psychologists, I am Priyanka from Better Life. I am a clinical and counseling psychologist, and I have been working in tandem with ekincare, who help you connect with the psychologists and get in touch with us and have the best of any emotional or mental well-being concerns that you have to create a healthy atmosphere for you and a happy environment for you as well. I see that there are no more questions for today. Thank you so much for joining in today. It was a pleasure addressing y'all and speaking with y'all today. Thank you so much for being a very graceful audience. With that, let me end my session for today. Thank you so much for connecting and stay well, stay happy. Thank you.